There you go. There you go. You gotta get your hands to it.
What's good, everybody? You're listening to Dynasty Overload, a fantasy podcast. We have a special guest for you guys today. The man, the myth, the legend, the feel, the mentor of Smithers in the building for the first time on the Dynasty Overload. We have on the bottom left the Resonator. And to the bottom right, you got Jahmyr, aka Fantasy Genius. And together, this is Dynasty Overload. Oh yeah, I'm your host, Manny. But let's go ahead and get this thing on and popping. We're gonna go to Jahmyr for current events.
So the news of the day. What's up, everybody? Derek Carr has done the thing that I said he was gonna do. He has forced his way out of the Raiders without them getting any compensation because of how he set his contract up, and he had a no trade clause. So now he gets to pick where he wants to go. He becomes the top quarterback in free agency, and he's about to get the bag. So shout out to my man Derek Carr. Looking forward to where he goes. I'm thinking he's going to end up in that NFC South some kind of way.
Hey, dope.
I agree.
Look, I love Carr getting to pick where he wants to go. We've heard news that Derek Carr might want to go to the Saints, but I also got some news for you guys. I heard today that the Saints are interested in Baker Mayfield. Now, that might not mean anything. If they can't get a Derek Carr, we know that the Saints are looking for a quarterback, right? We know possibly that the Saints could draft a quarterback in the rookie draft. In the NFL draft. I can see them going after a Hendon Hooker type guy in the second round, maybe third round. Mm-hmm. And you go with a Baker Mayfield. You got to go with somebody, right? What are the options? Brissett, Andy Dalton. It's going to be one of those kinds of guys, right? And why not Baker, a former number one pick? Phil, how do you feel about Baker going to the Saints?
If you get the Baker that plays for the Rams or the Browns, you don't have to give up as much to get Baker. Baker's a buy low guy right now. I got a friend of mine in one of our other leagues. He says Baker Mayfield's the leading guy in his quarterback room. He's got the best QBs in the CFL.
Man, that's rough.
We're all trying to trade for his picks.
Tommy, what about you? I know you was making some kind of faces when you heard me say Baker Mayfield.
It would just lead me to believe that the Saints are all in on Caleb Williams, all in, because the plan must be to tank. Come on, Baker Mayfield's trash. Big trash can there.
Is he an upgrade or a downgrade from what they had last year?
Downgrade. I think he's worse than what they had last year. I think Dalton did a decent job.
I think Dalton is trash, but Jahmyr?
So Baker Mayfield, let's kind of walk through this, right? So rookie year came out, did his thing. Second year, we saw him actually get hurt and really try to navigate different things as well. Then you see the heartbreak of, hey, we don't want you. We brought in Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. Goes to Carolina, never really gets a footing there. Coaches on the hot seat. And then we see in the Rams is a few praise from Sean McVay. So I think Baker has an opportunity, especially in a very weak NFC. If he were to get that job with Alvin Kamara in the backfield, with Chris Olave, to really have an opportunity to shine. So if that happens, I think you can look at Baker as being a top 7 quarterback in the NFC, and really have an opportunity to kind of walk through. So we'll see.
I have a question. So Baker failed in Cleveland, failed in Carolina, and he didn't do much at all in Los Angeles. What is it that we're believing that's making us believe that he's going to do anything?
So for me,
did he really fail in Cleveland? I don't think he failed in Cleveland.
They didn't want him. They didn't believe that he was a guy. He had one decent season. His rookie season was you could say lightning in a bottle. he never looked that good after that. Even the season afterwards, or the one season that he had that was decent, he wasn't a world beater. He wasn't somebody who was going to give $100 million contract to.
True. I mean,
and he was better with them running the
Watson,
ball than him passing.
You gotta look at the balance there. I mean, you got a chance to get Deshaun Watson. You're going to take that all day long, whether you think you've got the middling guy or not. Like, I mean, I love Sam Howell. We got a chance to get Deshaun Watson. I would have took it.
Okay. Right. I mean,
what about Sam Darnold?
Oh man,
they wanted Sam Darnold over Baker.
Man, well, that's rough.
And yeah,
but look,
he was a Wilkes guy.
Here's my take with all these quarterbacks. Right, it's going to take the right coaching, the right system for some of these guys to succeed. I'm sorry, Geno Smith. I don't think nothing of Geno Smith. It took this man 9 years, 10 years to be relevant. Okay. It took him the right system. It took him the right opportunity. He had to study that system for how many years behind a Hall of Fame quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that this is the end for Baker. I'm not saying that Baker turns into a star. What I'm saying is if he goes to the right situation to where he really gets to just learn and just forget about the commercials and the I'm Baker Mayfield and just learn and just be part of a system, I would love him to sign back with the Rams and just be in that system for a while. Stafford got one more leg. He got one more shoulder, one more pinky, and it could be the end anytime soon for Stafford. What if he's able to learn under that system and thrive under that system? I saw one game out of Baker Mayfield where he brought the team back, and I'm like, man, this is what's to come, right? And then he goes and stinks it up the next game. But if he just gets into a system that he can learn and be groomed, it might take 3-4 years, but it could be a good investment, especially for the price. He's not commanding the bank. He's going to be a vet minimum quarterback for a while, unless he gets a starting caliber type job this year. But enough about Baker Mayfield. We got some dynasty buys, and we picked two divisions. And I wanted to start with the NFC South. And in the NFC South, you have the Bucs, you have the Panthers, you got the Saints, you got the Falcons. What an amazing division, right? Man, these guys combined for a lot of wins this past year. So we'll go around the frames. We'll start with Phil. Phil, who is your dynasty buy for the Bucs?
The Bucs. My dynasty buy for the Bucs is Rachaad White. I'm all in on Rachaad White. I've got pretty good shares of him. I got him in the third round, a couple of drafts last year. I thought he was a killer buy for me. Of course, I have Fournette too, so he's more my handcuff on that one. But I think Rachaad White has the speed, the strength to be a 3-down back in the NFL, even though there's not many of those left. But Rachaad White is my buy for the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Okay, I have a question for you, Phil. Do you think that Leonard Fournette gets cut this year?
I think he could be a cap casualty. I think him and Donovan Smith are your top two cap casualties in Tampa Bay.
Okay. But you're still buying Fournette though, right? Because you figured the price is low. I mean, last year I was buying Fournette for second-round picks.
Oh, I mean, I've got tons of stock for that as well. But I still think Rachaad White's going to be – I mean, White kind of leapfrogged Fournette towards the end of the year anyway.
Mm-hmm. So. I agree. I love Rachaad White. I think his upside is crazy. And I'm picking up a lot of Rachaad White as much as possible. I was even buying him in startups last year. I was getting him in rookie drafts here and there. Got quite a few shares. I was even confident enough. You guys might not like this deal. I traded away DeAndre Swift, and I got Rachaad White and a 24 first. That's how much confident I am in Rachaad White. Not only that, with Swift, man, you don't know what you're going to get, right? He's like a box of chocolates, right? You don't know what you're going to get. But Sheilor, who is your dynasty buy for the Tampa Bay Bucs?
So for me, I love the Rachaad White pick. I think that will be who I would have said initially. But the guy I'm buying is who everybody's selling. And that's going to be Mike Evans.
Okay.
Mike Evans for 9 straight years, 1,000 yards. Like, that's what you're going to get from him. He's going to have those ebbs and flows, but he's going to always have those blow-up games that literally win your week. For me, a guy that you can get for a second-round pick in most leagues, somebody that you slide into your flex position and know that he's going to win you 2 or 3 games just because he's going to go off. So that's the guy that I would definitely want to buy.
Okay, my question is, I like Mike Evans a lot. The age, okay, I can deal with the age. But who's his quarterback? Are you saying
That's
that
why.
Mike Evans is quarterback proof even at the age of 99 years old?
So 29 years old, yes. And I definitely think he's quarterback proof because of his size. He's a
Okay.
red zone target. And literally, when the chips are down, that's who you're going to look for. Who's the big guy? Who has the proven track record of making big catches? Who's the vertical threat in that offense? Even without being fast, he has that go up and get it. He can actually has a great catch radius, and he makes really good contested catches. So for me, give me all of Mike Evans I can get my hands on right now.
I like Mike Evans a lot. I mean, big fan. Got him in tons of leagues. He just continues to produce. I just want to see him produce with a lesser quarterback at this stage of his career. If he does, look, if he does 1,000 yards one more time, he's going to be that wide receiver that plays into his 30s and continue to be productive. You know, we always look for that wide receiver that's a vet that we can buy cheap that can continue to produce post 30 years old. And we don't see too many of those. We're going to see some this year in Hopkins and Devontae Adams. And if Mike Evans hits 30 when the season starts, he's going to be another one of those guys. Tommy, what about you?
For Tampa, it's going to be Chris Godwin for me. Big Chris Godwin fan. Everybody knows that about me. Chris Godwin's what, 25, 26? 26. And this guy, he's the guy that's going to catch all the passes. He's the guy that I believe is going to be the most transition proof. So if they don't get this big time quarterback or whatever the case may be, I believe Chris Godwin is going to be the receiver that's the most safest and the one that can get you kind of basically bridge you to the next quarterback. And he's also the one with the big contract. This guy's going to be the focus of receiving in Tampa Bay for years to come. I think he's the buy.
Now, would you say, he's had some injuries. Does that concern you? Do you think that Chris Godwin is a guy that's injury prone?
I mean, listen, this guy it's so amazing that he bounced back this year because he had the big injury last year, came back this year, and you were buying him low. It was crazy. The value you could get Chris Godwin, and the guy still produced. So I'm loving Chris Godwin.
So a little bit about what Chris Godwin did this past year. Mind you, he didn't play in a lot of, he missed some games. They said he played in 15 games, but it seemed like, he didn't play in 15 games. Like, that's just what it seemed like to me.
He wasn't up to speed at first. I agree.
Exactly. So I would just say he played in 9 games, but nevertheless, he still ended up PPR wide receiver 19. He should have been higher, but because of the low touchdown numbers this particular year, he had 142 targets for 104 receptions, 1,000 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's amazing for a guy coming off of an injury, 26 years old. And he was also my guy on my list, Chris Godwin, 26 years old, everything that Tommy said. He's the guy that I'm targeting, and he's still so young, but he's not old. You know what I'm saying? He's at that perfect age, that perfect range. And I also feel that if Tampa goes into a rebuild or whatever, you can see Chris Godwin getting traded. And I'm just hoping that Chris Godwin gets traded to the right situation. He can leave Mike Evans over here to do his thing, and then he can just go somewhere else. I think he is young enough, but not old enough to still do some damage in Dynasty. I love Chris Godwin a lot. Now, let's go ahead and transition to that next team. The next team I want to talk about is the Panthers, a team that was ultra trash, a team that didn't have a lot of offensive talent. Because this is not an IDP show, or we're not talking about IDP. Shilor, who are you buying on this terrible Panthers team?
The guy that shows up every week, regardless of whether he has a quarterback or not, Mr. DJ Moore. Here's the thing. If DJ Moore ever gets a quarterback, then now we go from a consistent wide receiver 2, and you can possibly get him in that wide receiver 1 category. He's definitely a buy. He's still only 25 years old, despite being in the league for 4 or 5 years at this point.
5 years.
So with that being said, he's the guy that I want. He's the only piece on this offense that I want to touch. Even when they went out and they traded Christian McCaffrey and a lot of teams were asking him about DJ Moore, he was a piece that they literally said, no, we're not actually moving on from him. We plan on building around him. And he's the only piece of this offense for me that I would want to buy and pick up at this point in time.
I mean, excellent point, Sheila. Like for a guy like DJ Moore, he's also on my list. He's my guy. But for him to be PPR wide receiver 24 and have under 1,000 yards, that just tells you how good this guy is. He had 800 yards. He had 63 receptions. He had 7 touchdowns. He actually had touchdowns this year. And this is with, quarterbacks here and there. He had a rapport with Sam Darnold. It seems like whenever Sam Darnold plays, DJ Moore has played better. So you're telling me if we can get a quarterback that's slightly better than Sam Darnold, there's a chance that DJ Moore gets 10 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And if they draft CJ Stroud, that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it there because it's not a CJ show. We are going to talk CJ rookie profile on another episode. But Phil, who's your guy for the Panthers?
I think Terrace Marshall's going to be a very, very buy low guy that you could possibly get. Trade like a 3rd or 4th round for and get Terrace Marshall. He's going to be wide receiver number 2 there easily. I like his profile. From wide receiver U, a good old LSU. We know how they produce their wide receivers. 6'2", young, and he can go up and get it. I like Terrace Marshall. I always have. I wish he wouldn't have ended up in Carolina. But Terrace Marshall is my guy if I buy anybody from that tragic offense.
That's an excellent buy low candidate, a guy who had 28 receptions in 14 games for 490 yards. And you can easily see these numbers doubling next year again. If they get that quarterback from Ohio State, it's just could be amazing. Yep. It could be amazing for that crew. Tommy, what about you, Panthers? Talk to me.
Okay, since you guys said the other guys, because I would have said one of those. I'm going to go with Corral here.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to go with Corral is Corral's potential hasn't been seen. He did have potential in college. His biggest problem was his he just wasn't a good guy in college. He couldn't be trusted to do the right thing. So hopefully, man, if he gets his nose clean, they don't go quarterback. Maybe Corral will get a chance, and we'll see what he can do. He's a great buy low candidate. You can get him dirt cheap at this point, and you really can't really lose on it, I don't guess. So I think it's a low buy with a high ceiling, low floor. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know nothing about Matt Corral other than he got hurt. So like you said, he's a wild card. Maybe look, if the Saints surprise everybody and don't take a guy in the first round, I would be so shocked. That means a guy like Derek Carr is coming. And if Derek Carr goes to the Panthers, a guy like Sheila is going to be excited because at the end of the day, you have Carr. You can mirror his contract to a guy like Matt Corral, groom Matt Corral, and then who knows, maybe in 2-3 years, Matt Corral could be somebody. So I can see a scenario where Matt Corral is super relevant, especially if they bring in a vet. If they bring in a rookie, goodbye, Matt Corral. It was nice knowing you in the NFL. Right. You had a good career. Yeah, you made it. You made it to the NFL. Yeah, but you will not be the guy on the Panthers, especially if they draft a guy. Tommy?
If Matt Corral gets in, let's remember this. Matt Corral has high rushing potential. So this could be a guy that could get you some rushing yards, some rushing touchdowns. So this could be a good buy. But I would, of course,
Sam Darnold did for him last year.
Yeah, a little bit better than that. But listen, this will be a guy I would have my eye on very late. If I could get him late, dirt cheap, then great. If not, I wouldn't sweat it.
I feel you. He's a perfect taxi squad candidate. Why not? For the Saints, I'm gonna go first on this one. I got Tommy's guy Olive, aka Olave. Olave is magnificent, man. Like when he came into the league, everybody says, "Oh, his size," right? But this guy was one of the purest route runners coming in. I don't care that he's only 198 pounds. And he actually gained some weight, okay? He's 6'1". He plays bigger than 6'1". He reminds me of like a Devontae Smith type of guy. He can go up and get it. He's fast. He does it all. And this guy, all he needs is a quarterback. He was able to perform at a high level last year with 72 receptions, 1,000 yards. and 4 touchdowns. I see all those numbers going up this year, potentially with a better quarterback. Even if it's a guy, I'm hoping like a Derek Carr, if not a Derek Carr, even with a Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry, this guy's going to perform. Like, I think he's one of those guys that is quarterback proof, just because if you give him the volume, I feel like he can produce and produce at a high clip. I'm buying Chris Olave. The price that I'm paying right now is a first and a second round pick in 23, based off of where I'm drafted in 23. I just want to go ahead and put that little disclaimer. Phil, who is your dynasty buy for the Saints?
My dynasty buy is on the other side of Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Dude came onto the scene towards the end of the year. He was a drafted free agent rookie, I'm pretty sure. He was a nightmare for cornerbacks. He personally got me into a couple of my dynasty playoffs because I picked him up. He was free. Now you're probably gonna have to give up a late second, early third for him. But I definitely think with better quarterback play, him and Olave are looking a good little future for New Orleans.
I try to pull up his profile, but I can't spell his name. It's okay though. It's okay. Tommy, who is your guy for the Saints?
Oh, see, listen, you stole mine, and instead of saying nobody, I'm going to say Olive too. And the reason I'm going to go Olive is because, especially if they end up with the dead arm guy from Vegas or any of the other trash QBs, I think they're just going to be targeting Olave because he runs a lot of short routes and stuff like that. So I think this guy's going to get peppered with targets. So that's the guy.
Okay. Shilor?
So at that point, I think you really conclude the buys for the Saints. Flat out. That's it. If I had to go a sell, I'm selling Alvin Kamara everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Potential legal issues, age, wear and tear, lack of a quarterback, no Sean Payton. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go with what I'm sticking with right there. And Alvin Kamara is my sell on the Saints.
All right, Leslie, go ahead and run through the Falcons real quick, and then we'll go into the AFC West. Falcons.
We should all say it on 1, 2, 3. London,
yeah. Cancun on 3. But hey, Drake London, man. Look, like I said, for those who know me, know that I was not buying Drake London. I was not interested. I just have to see. Sometimes you have to learn. You have to humble yourself, and you have to see for yourself. This guy had separation issues, right? He was this, he was that. But if you like Shilor has always told me, if you like Michael Pittman, you're gonna love Drake London. Drake London's upside is far greater than Michael Pittman, and I love Michael Pittman. Drake London, man, 6'4". This guy is going to be a alpha dog in the league. He has that Mike Evans type of game, that Mike Evans type of profile. And if you look at what he did at the end of the year, like the last 4 games, right? He had what? I think it was like 11 receptions. I'm sorry, like my stuff is kind of messed up here. Let me see. Sorry. He had let's go to week 15. So sorry, 7 receptions, 70 yards. Week 16, 7 receptions, 96 yards. Week 17, 5 receptions, 47 yards. And then that last week, 6 receptions for 120 yards. That's when I knew, you know what? This guy has arrived. These last 4 games were magnificent. Anybody want to add to Drake London?
He's a monster. Everybody that plays leagues with me knows my love for Michael Pittman. Especially my keeper leagues. He's one of my keepers. Pittman and London are your guys. London, I think, is a little faster, stronger. He's a touchdown machine. He's going to be a touchdown machine when they get a quarterback.
All right, I'm gonna do my guy, and it's gonna be Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts. Me and Sheila talk about Kyle Pitts a lot. Mm-hmm. Kyle Pitts, man, he had the great rookie season, 1,000 yards, but then his coach was just goofy after that, right? Then it's like, what do they want to do with this guy? Are they going to use him correctly? Are they going to use him incorrectly? Is a quarterback coming in to the Falcons to help skyrocket this guy's game? Like, what? This guy is 6'6". He's super fast. He's athletic. You can throw it up anywhere he goes and gets it. He's a mismatch problem. The linebackers can't guard him. The corners wish they can hang with him. This guy right here has the potential to be a great tight end. And right now, currently, even though there's some vets that are in the tight end group in Dynasty that are better than this guy, the upside for this guy still keeps him as a Dynasty top 3 tight end. And I'm buying. If I can get this guy for a second and a first, I'm doing it. At any combination, 24 first, 23 second, whatever. I'm trying to get as many Kyle Pitts shares as I can. But there's doubt. If it starts to look kind of funny, guess what? I can still exit from my Kyle Pitts shares and still get a good return. Kyle Pitts is like a Toyota 4Runner. He's like a Toyota. The value is still going to be there when you try to sell. That's what I think. When I think of Kyle Pitts, I think of a car that you can buy at a good price. And when you can sell it, you still sell at a good price. So that's Kyle Pitts.
Come get him in Addicts. You can have it. Come get him. I have it.
All right. Cool. And just send me an offer and we'll go from there. I'm serious. I
want to buy, so hold on.
Come talk to me.
I got a bid more. Kyle Pitts is on the block.
Yes, sir.
Fight.
I'm buying. And even though it's a one tight end league, I'm still buying. That's just how much I love Kyle Pitts. Anybody want to add? Is there anybody else that's on the Falcons that anybody is remotely?
Tyler Algier. I think Arthur Smith is a running back. He loved Derrick Henry in Tennessee when he was the OC. I'm telling you, Tyler Algier is a buy.
Okay. Shalor, I know you love this guy.
So I'm sorry, y'all. We got to shift because the uptick in Drake London's production literally coincided with Desmond Ridder being put in at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. This is a buy low quarterback, especially in your super flex leagues. A lot of times nobody's paying attention to him. You grab this guy, you can get him for a 3rd round pick in a lot of instances or a late second. Grab him and you might be able to hit lightning in the bottle because he has the rushing potential and he actually has weapons that he can get the ball up to. And what was crazy was you saw him get the ball to Drake London. He was playing without Kyle Pitts. When you put Drake London and Kyle Pitts out there, and now he has a full arsenal, he has a running game behind it with Tyler Algier, he literally is set up to be successful. So I think a lot of times when we're looking at profiles and we're looking at Arthur Smith as the head coach, who does he have in Tennessee? He actually had a Ryan Tannehill. Desmond Ridder's comp for me literally is Ryan Tannehill. Buy him now while you can. That will be the guy that I will look into that I think everybody's overlooking right now.
A great point. That last game of the year, he had 224 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he has the upside. And one thing I'm going to say is that Tommy was in on Desmond Ridder from the beginning. I was kind of like in and out. Like I buy him for a second. I sold him for a second. Like I love the 2nd round picks in 23 more than I loved Desmond Ridder. That's just me. I'm selling him in areas in leagues that I have quarterbacks in. And if you can get a second for Desmond Ridder, I think that's a good sell. That's also a good buy. So it's good buy, good sell. Phil, anything else you want to add? Or Tommy? I don't think I've heard from Tommy.
I don't think I would have said it's Pitts. The thing about Pitts is you have to figure out, are you going to run him, or is he going to run routes like a receiver, or is he going to play inline tight end? Which one is he going to do? And if that's the case, are you going to get another receiver or a viable receiver for the outside position? I think if they do that, then we can build on what you're talking about with Ridder, and that offense can be something special. And if that one guy, what's that dead arm guy's name? Derek Carr. If Derek Carr was to go somewhere, I would say Atlanta would be a good fit.
Oh man,
especially since they had a lot of cap space. They add a receiver for that outside, then that offense could be something real to deal with. And we'll see what happens with Ridder. We'll see. But I just think with Pitts, we got to figure out is he gonna play receiver, or is he gonna play inline tight end? Which one is it gonna be? Or move tight end? Which one is it gonna be? Because that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, move tight end all day long. I think.
But if he's moved tight end, then who's gonna be the go-to guy? Is it him? Is it London? we didn't really see them play together much this past season. So that's a question I feel like still hasn't really been answered. I want to see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I
Either
say.
1, 6'4" and 6'6", just throw the ball up.
Here's what I say. ATL is going to draft another wide receiver, hopefully in the second round. I love second round draft capital. If they don't get one in the second round, they get one in the third round and add a vet. They're going to try to get Desmond Ridder as many weapons as possible. If they're saying, hey, we're going to go Desmond Ridder, if that's truly what they're saying, then guess what? They're going to add as much as possible to make this guy successful. And do not rule out a guy like Bijan Robinson being drafted to Atlanta. Even a guy like Gibbs, who we're going to talk about a little later in the show, that could be a nice spot. And you just give this guy as much weapons as possible. It helps these young quarterbacks. I've never seen a young quarterback say, hey, with no weapons, no line, no nothing, hey, go out there and perform. You end up like an Andrew Luck. Do not Andrew Luck your quarterbacks. For any NFL GMs that are watching the show right now, do not Andrew Luck your quarterbacks. Please.
Say that.
Give them a line. Give them
Joe
weapons.
Burrow?
Pass the
Joe
plate,
Burrow.
man. Pass the
man.
plate. You preaching, Doc.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and get to AFC West. Let's start with the Chiefs, the champions. The champions, Chiefs. I'm gonna give you guys my guy right now, because if I don't go first, somebody's gonna steal my guy. The guy that I'm buying right now, there's multiple guys, but let's just go with Sky Moore. I'm gonna say the other guy for She-Lord.
You jerk.
Let me go Sky Moore. Tommy loves Sky Moore. I love Sky Moore. I think that Sky Moore has a chance. You know, he's another one of those guys that I didn't really get to draft because of where I was drafting from. You know, he was like right in the middle of the first round, and I was kind of getting guys like late first round, early second round. He just never fell to me. So I never really had any Sky Moore shares. But this guy, man, 5'10", he can be a weapon. He's a guy that can be used out of the backfield, jet sweeps, slot guy, return guy, a razzle-dazzle type guy. And we got to see a little bit of what Sky Moore can bring to the table in the Super Bowl. So it was encouraging to see him score a touchdown. He was happy. I think they're going to expand his role next year. I see guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, guys like Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Mr. Trash, leaving. I see a lot of these guys leaving. So it opens opportunities for Sky Moore and another guy that She-Lord is going to talk about right now. She-Lord, who's your guy?
Kadarius Toney, guys. If you can buy him anywhere, go get him. Mm-hmm. He is the only guy that has these Tyreek qualities coming out. If you all remember, Urban Meyer literally like crying because he couldn't get his hands on Kadarius Toney because he understood the weapon that he was. And you see him actually struggle with injuries. If he is healthy, he has the potential to just literally blow the top off of any expectation that you can have for a receiver in that offense. In the Super Bowl, the play, of course, you see an overplay by the Eagles and literally him zigging back out. You see the punt return, electric punt return. You can see the raw skill set that he has. Harnessed with the full off season with Andy Reid and actually hanging out with Patrick Mahomes. Literally, this is the perfect landing spot, and this is the guy that I'm buying as much as possible right now in Dynasty.
Good stuff. Tommy, what about you?
I want to rebut this Kadarius Toney deal. Kadarius Toney's problems weren't only injury related. It was also the fact that for some reason he didn't want to play football. And so the thing is, when a player is questioned about if he wants to play football, that's scary to me. Yeah. I don't like that at all. Give me Sky Moore all day. Sky Moore's from Western Michigan, smaller school. I initially thought it was going to take him a little time to get acclimated to the NFL and to playing in the big leagues. I think this second year is going to be big time for him. Give me Sky Moore over Kadarius Toney all day.
Okay, you ready to fight?
We'll do another debate show where you guys can talk about Sky Moore and Toney.
All I'm going to say is I don't want to play with Daniel Jones either. So
we'll wait till mid-season. Phil, who you got?
Pacheco.
I knew it.
Go to the backfield. Isaiah Pacheco. If the kid can improve his vision, like when you watch Super Bowl, he missed some big holes. But he can, if him and Andy Reid can get together and improve his vision, sky's the limit for Isaiah Pacheco. Like he's strong, fast. I mean, there's much more you could say about him.
I mean, I love Pacheco.
Not special. You can say that about him.
Oh, I think he's special. I think he's very special. I think he's, like I said, improve his vision. He's Brian Westbrook for him, for Andy Reid.
Interesting. I think Pacheco is a nice player. He had solid numbers. He's a guy that I'm drafting in a 0 RB type thing. And I'm in the current startup right now. If he's there at the right spot for me, I'm going to take him. But what I like about Isaiah Pacheco moving forward is that he's really shown that he can be a receiver out of that backfield. So I love his receiving upside, especially if McKinnon is gone. You can see a guy like Pacheco, and they can also draft another guy. We can just go ahead and say that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is done. You can see a Pacheco and another guy. I don't want to say the guy. We're going to get into landing spots and different things on where we think people are going to go. But I definitely see Pacheco as the bruiser, and they can bring in a guy that's more receiver type guy to mesh with this guy. And it could be a nice little pairing. Tommy, I think I heard from everybody for the Chiefs. I'm sorry. Next team on my list. Let's go ahead and go to the Chargers. Anybody? Phil? My bad.
Oh, okay. I mean, Chargers, I think they're going to cut Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett. I think they're both going to be cap casualties. So my buy is a 6'5" tight end, big dude, strong, fast. Unfortunately, got hurt. Donald Parham. I like Donald Parham. I think he is a really good late round draft pick in a tight end premium league.
That's a pretty good person to go by. But I also think the Chargers draft a tight end. I'm not going to give out my secrets on who I think they draft. They definitely draft a tight end in this draft. You can book it. Shelor, what about you?
We're in a really interesting window last year with Justin Herbert. He's my buy right now because what's happened now is, you had everyone over the moon. He finished as QB2 last year in fantasy. And then this year he finishes as QB11. And some people are actually down on him. If you have anybody that's down on Justin Herbert in your league, go buy him because they're not going to leave him without weapons. They're going to make sure that he gets what he needs. He's still a QB1, but I'm saying this is a window.
Anybody selling Justin Herbert?
Hey, this is a window that you can buy him in that you wouldn't have been able to buy him last year. You wouldn't have been able to buy him last year at all based on what was going on. But this year, you have an opportunity. You have a unique window where you can put together those 2 first-round picks and, a lesser quarterback and really get your hands on Justin Herbert, whereas this time last year, he was untouchable. So he's definitely my buy right now.
All right. Resonators?
All right. You're going to stop stealing my buys. I'm just going to repeat them.
I'll go to you first next time.
Listen, Justin Herbert is the buy here.
Yes.
And listen, I was going Burrow over Herbert last year. I wanted the value, and I thought that his situation was more stable. But now you're starting to listen. People are getting down on Herbert. He didn't have the big numbers he had before. He didn't have the rushing touchdowns or some of those other stats that he had the year before. I'm in a Devy league, and they just let me get Justin Herbert in the second round. Let's go. I'm loving that. If you can get that type of value, go for it. So yeah, Justin Herbert's the guy.
That's amazing. For me, I'm going to take a guy like Isaiah Spiller. Why not? I mean, I'm not crazy about Isaiah Spiller, but at the end of the day, if they do nothing at running back, let's say that they do nothing in the draft, let's say they do nothing like bringing in a vet, why not get an Isaiah Spiller? He's super cheap right now. Everybody thinks he sucks. Cool. Everybody thinks he's slow. Everybody thinks he can't do this. He can't do that. Grab him. They just got a coach that loves to run a 2-back system in Kellen Moore, right? Kellen Moore is talking about, I want to make these guys look like Zeke and Pollard. I'm all in. If there's a chance that Isaiah Spiller can look good or get some opportunity, hey, you grab him. You never know. Eckler has been very durable recently, but you just never know. You just grab these guys cheap. He's super cheap right now. I'm grabbing him super
Didn't
late.
Joshua Kelly kind of have a decent year?
Yeah, Joshua Kelly as well. So, you grab either or you grab both and just stash them in your taxi. Hey, both. Why not? I mean, somebody's going to pop off, right? So you want to be on the front end and not the back end. Like, oh, man, I hit on my sleeper. Then, man, I wish. If you can get one of these two guys, they're super cheap. Grab them, stash them, and just see what happens. Let's talk about the Raiders. I'm going to let Tommy go first since his guys keep on getting snatched. Who do you got, Tommy?
All right, listen, these last two, you could have went last on me. But anyways, I really had a problem with the Raiders. I really did. Eventually, I just settled on Adams. He might be old, but give me Adams. If I had to take somebody, just give me Adams. That's the buy. It's not much to say.
Well said. Lord, what about you, man?
Hey, listen, guys, it's Hunter Renfrow. When you see Josh McDaniels operate, and literally what happened last year was with him being hurt, you didn't really get the chance to actually see him shine the way he has the potential to shine. He literally is that slot receiver that Josh McDaniels always takes advantage of. He's that Wes Welker. He's that Julian Edelman type. He's a guy that you can get extremely low, extremely cheap at this point in time. He's definitely someone that I will be grabbing as many shares of as possible. Because this year you're going to actually see him come back. The year before, he finished as wide receiver 11. I'm not saying it's going to be that high, but if he comes in as a wide receiver 2, and at this point you can grab this guy for a third-round pick in a lot of leagues, that's a winning player for you in your flex spot. So give me all 100 Renfrow I can get my hands on.
Good deal. Phil, I'm going to skip you on this one. Just go straight to the Broncos, just for sake of time. Hey, Phil, I can't hear you. You're kind of going in and out. I can't hear you. Try to come out and leave and then try to come back in. I'm hearing some static in the background. Yeah, I think that was
okay.
It. So he comes back in. Yeah, you go, Tommy.
So I'm gonna have two. I know it's probably cheating. The Judy, of course, everybody knows I'm a big Jerry Judy fan. I think Judy can finally live up to his potential.
Mm-hmm.
And then my lower one is going to be Latavius Murray. I think if you get him very low as a toss in or something like that, but yeah, Latavius Murray. I saw him with the coach. It seemed like he's gonna be a part of that backfield. So yeah.
This guy literally said Latavius Murray. This is
Latavius
Murray. He's the cheapest guy. He is on everybody's waiver wire right now. He said Latavius Murray.
Add Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray is gonna have a role in the offense. I'm not sitting here saying that he's gonna be this great guy. I'm just sitting here saying he's gonna have a role in the offense.
Latavius Murray is gonna have a seat on the couch.
Payton's gonna cut Latavius Murray.
I actually agree with the Razman. Latavius Murray is going to have a role, and here's the role. He's going to be in the actual running back room, kind of walking through playbook-wise how to navigate it. I don't see him on the field, though.
He's going to be on the field.
The talent-wise, that's the problem, because if you remember what happened last time they were together, Sean Payton cut him. So
doesn't matter.
You just want disciples to know your offense whenever you're walking in and you're trying to install a program. There's no way he's
only one buy on the Broncos.
Williams.
All right, so we're not going to spend much time on said player. Can't even say his name anymore. We're talking about the Broncos. I'm gonna go ahead and do mine, and then we can go ahead and transition to rookie profiles. Man, I'm buying Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick is a great buy. He's super cheap right now. I'm getting this guy at the end of dynasty startups. Nobody's looking at him. You know, it's either you buy Patrick or you buy Hamler. One of these guys, one of them is gonna pop. Okay, they got 4 receivers that are notable. Like, we don't even know what Sean Payton is going to do with these guys. If you can get your hands on Tim Patrick or KJ Hamler, you go ahead and do it and just wait, sit, and then just see how things pan out. But for the sake of time, let's just go ahead and dive into rookie profiles. Before we get started, got a special video for you guys. I got a special guest who wanted to drop a message for all of us as we lead into the rookie profile. So this is a friend of the show. This is our guy, Porkman,
also known as Porkman from Dynasty Rewind. And I will be talking to you guys about Jahmyr Gibbs today. He's a running back out of Alabama, 5'11", 200 pounds. And then, you look at the frame like that, you would think that he's a third down back. But if you actually looked at the film, the guy is a 3-down back. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run in between the tackles. And some of his best traits is his explosiveness and being able to make people miss out of the backfield and in open space. So this guy to me he's right now is the consensus RB2 out of this class behind Bijan Robinson. But if you decide to take this guy at the 101, I wouldn't be mad at it because you can kind of see how he can project as an Alvin Kamara type. This guy has the contact balance like an Alvin Kamara. Yes, he's maybe 20 pounds lighter than him coming out, but the guy is still young. He still can put weight on before the combine and show that, he can be the Alvin Kamara type. So if you have an Alvin Kamara like a guy on your fantasy team, maybe if you have that 101 or 102, or if you're able to trade up and get a guy like a Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't think that you'll be disappointed at all. He fits in any scheme that you put him in. So if they're going to have a team that, he can be a 1A or a 1B on a team that can catch the ball out of the backfield, he's going to give you that higher PPR upside, potentially more than a Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan Robinson, yes, can catch the ball out of the backfield, but Jahmyr Gibbs is the type of guy that's going to catch the ball, make you miss, make you look silly in the open field, and get that extra 10 to 15 yards possible. Or he can bounce off the tackles, just like a Bijan Robinson can. So don't sleep on this guy. I know Manny and the crew is going to talk about him more as well, but this guy is a bona fide stud. So any team that he go to, hopefully, is the Eagles, because I believe they will not sign a Miles Sanders, and he fits the mold. Seems like they're looking for where they have like a Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. So if they can use this guy out of the backfield, running the ball in between the tackles and catching the ball in the flat and making people miss and getting them extra yards, go for it. Again, my name is Philip Simmons, also known as Porkman. You can find me on Twitter at FFPorkman. And hey, hit me up for any time. And hey, look at our content. We're all on YouTube, and continue to support the crew here. They're freaking awesome, and they're giving out good content here. Hope to talk to you guys soon. And hey, I might be on the show one day. Hey, just hit me up if y'all want me to come back. Have a good one.
Oh man, special message from my guy Phil, aka Porkman. Great guy. He couldn't be on the show today, so he just wanted to when he heard we were talking Jahmyr Gibbs, he said, "What?" He says, "I love Jahmyr Gibbs," and he wanted to just put his little 2 cents on it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Shilord and Phil and Tommy so we can learn more about Jahmyr Gibbs. There are people that are watching the show. There are people listening to the show. They don't even know who Jahmyr Gibbs is. We cannot assume that everybody is new to Dynasty. We cannot assume that everybody knows every prospect. So we take this thing as a learning tool to teach the masses about these rookies. So, Shilord, take it away.
So, Jahmyr Gibbs, this is my guy. I've been waiting on him to come out for 2 years. I saw him literally come out and really start showing all of the different skill set that we already are seeing and that was just talked about at Georgia Tech. So the big thing is, okay, cool, it's Georgia Tech. Well, thank God for what we have known as the transfer portal. He gets over to Alabama, and now he's on everybody's radar when I had him tucked away over here with my Georgia Tech film. My comp for him is going to actually be your Travis Etienne, your Jamal Charles. That will be the guy that I believe actually kind of personifies everything that he is. Think of Alvin Kamara with more speed. That's literally what you're looking at when you're seeing the Jahmyr Gibbs. He had a 3-game stretch last year at Alabama where they literally force-fed him the ball. And when he got 18-plus carries, literally he has over 100 yards in every one of those games. So he's somebody that you want to actually grab. There's not this big gap between 1-1 and 1-2 like everyone will make you to believe. If you can get your hands on that 1.2, he's going to be the guy that I say you want to go after. And it's a slam dunk every single time.
I mean, points like I'm in leagues, excellent points. I'm in leagues where I was not able to get a guy like Bijan Robinson. But guess what? I have 102. And then I have that choice to either go Gibbs or a receiver if I need a receiver. But Gibbs is a guy that I'm excited about. Gibbs is a guy that I've turned down multiple great offers for 102 just to get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. When Shedeur put me on Gibbs last year, I started watching him and he goes, "Who does he look like?" I said, "Alvin Kamara." He even has a tape on both of his arms like Alvin Kamara. The guy is explosive. He's a big play potential type guy. And he's underrated because people look at him as he's going to be a compliment. No, he is the guy. He's one of those the guys. He's a franchise changing guy. Phil, talk to me about Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the perfect lightning to whoever your thunder is. I think he's electric. He's elusive. Me being an ACC guy, I've known about Jahmyr Gibbs. Like Shedeur said, I had him tucked away. Of course, he goes to Alabama, runs behind the best line in the country, and he wholly ran through. I mean, we could drive a Mack truck through mostly, but he made people miss when they were in front of him. He's the man. He's definitely my 1-2. He might even be my 1-1. I'm not the biggest Bijan Robinson fan, honestly. So if I have 1-1, it's on the block because definitely Bijan's not. I don't think Bijan's all that. But Jahmyr Gibbs is lightning. You just can't say much about him. Jamal Charles is my comp. I like Shedeur said. I think he's more Jamal Charles than he is Alvin Kamara. I hope he has a little longer career than Jamal Charles. But there's not much more you can say about Jahmyr Gibbs that hadn't already been said. Great hands. He's probably going to run about 4.3, 8, 4.4, something like that. I'm excited to see who he actually goes to. Please don't go to the Eagles. Please.
All right, we're going to talk about where we think or where we want these guys to land. Tommy, you have anything to add towards his profile, or do you want to talk about where you feel he can land?
Well, the thing I want to say about Jahmyr is when you watched him playing, the thing about him was he looked to be going a different speed than the other guys on the field. I mean, and then body control, his jump cut, lateral quickness. I mean, this guy has it all. And even his everybody's talking about his size. To be honest with you, Chris Johnson was about that same size coming out of college. Chris Johnson was about 5'11", 200 pounds. When at his biggest, Chris Johnson was like 206 at his biggest, and this is like his fourth year in the NFL. So he definitely it's not a situation where it's like we've never seen a running back his size hold up to pressure or act as a primary pass rusher. So let's go for it. Yeah, I'm with it all the way. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a 1B to Bijan's 1A.
Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off on where I think or where I would love to see Jahmyr Gibbs play. I would love to see Jahmyr Gibbs play for the Broncos. They have a guy who discovered Alvin Kamara. They have a guy who knows how to use Alvin Kamara. They have a guy. I know that there's some guys that are going to say, "Oh no, my Javonte Williams shares." Oh, look, there's enough love to go around for both guys. We have seen the Saints produce multiple RB1s on the same team. We've seen them have two guys that were top 15 guys. Two guys that were relevant. So what I would say is let this guy get to the Broncos and let Russ cook. Let's ride. Phil?
Well, I definitely don't want him in Denver. I got way too many Javonte shares for that. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs would be the perfect running back for Mike McDaniel in Miami. He's coming from the Shanahan system. I think Jahmyr Gibbs in Miami is just a match made in heaven for fantasy and dynasty purposes.
I love it. What about you, Shedeur?
So there's this team that continues to dominate now, out in Kansas City, and they took a guy in Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end of the first round a couple years back, and what they were hoping is that they would get somebody like a Jahmyr Gibbs as far as productivity, and I think they're able to actually get it right now with the 30th pick in the first round. And because of the depth in this running back class, I think what's going to happen is it's going to actually draw down a lot of the talent into that second, third round range because there's just so many backs coming out. And what I know about Andy Reid, what I know about that offense, and why I'm not really on Isaiah Pacheco, I have no shares of him, is that I believe if Jahmyr Gibbs is on the clock when Kansas City comes up, they're going to run to the podium and grab him. And he's going to actually be literally Jamal Charles in the spot that Jamal Charles really actually did his thing in Kansas City. So give me Jahmyr Gibbs to Kansas City. And then that's when we can really see that leapfrog possibly of Jahmyr Gibbs being your 1-1 versus Bijan Robinson being your 1-1.
That makes a lot of sense. I also think that the Chiefs will have to trade up. I think this guy's going in the 20s. He's just that special. I know it's unpopular for running backs to go early in the first. You know, you want to get these guys late. You want to get these guys as early in the second round as possible. But, man, look, Bijan Robinson, we all know he's going in the first. Top 16, top 20 pick. And I can also see Jahmyr Gibbs go in that 20 to 30-something range. But, man, I don't think –
I don't think either one of them makes it past Dallas.
Yeah, I think teams will be foolish to let a Jahmyr Gibbs team up with a Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's criminal. So I think teams will want to take him before he drops that far. Like, even in this process last year, trying to get a wide receiver, there were teams taking receivers. They didn't want any of these special-looking type guys to end up on the Chiefs. So when the Chiefs got on the clock, it's like, well, you know, we can go ahead and get a George Pickens or whoever, Christian Watts, whoever we feel like we can get in the second round, because some of the guys that they wanted in that first round, Jamison Williams, was gone. So it's going to be a similar scenario to me. I just think that, man, teams will be foolish to let the Chiefs get a guy like this. I mean, it would be crazy. It would be crazy, especially with the hype coming in. Like, we know who this guy is. Teams know who he is. We've been waiting for this guy. We're waiting for these guys, and they're now coming out. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually trades up for a running back, or if these guys go top 15. It's going to be really interesting. But I want to go ahead and dive into the second rookie profile, Jordan Addison. This guy right here, he's phenomenal. A guy that played with Kenny Pickett back at Pittsburgh, transfer to USC, and had a productive career so far, playing with two quarterbacks who we feel are going to be, you know, nice in the league. I'm going to kick it over to Sheilor and then to Phil.
Okay, so here we go. So Jordan Addison. What I love about his game is, again, you're seeing him play with two different systems with two different quarterbacks. He wasn't just good at Pittsburgh. He literally was the top receiver in the nation. So he literally had won the Biletnikoff Award for literally the top receiver in college football, 1,500 yards. And then he goes over to USC. So now he shows up in a whole different system, a whole different quarterback. And now you see him still explode off the screen. What's special about him is his route running. He's able to get open, but he also has some explosiveness. If I were to give him a comp, I would actually say Devontae Smith is his actual comp that I would be looking into. And if you know anything about me, Devontae Smith is that guy. And I believe Jordan Addison is going to be that guy as well. He's always open when you look at him on film. He's always has good hands. He's definitely somebody that I would love to get my hands on in any of my dynasty leagues.
I love me some Jordan Addison, man. You look at the size, you say, oh, he's 170 pounds. I don't care. Olave was like a twig, okay? Garrett Wilson is little. Devontae Adams, he's a toothpick. He's like 4 toothpicks combined to create a wide receiver. We don't care. These guys are becoming smaller and smaller and thinner, and they're defying everything. These guys are producing at a high clip. These guys are playing big. These guys are playing strong. I'm all in on Jordan Addison. And if he goes to the perfect situation, it could be bananas. Even if he doesn't go to the perfect situation, You always take the talent. Last year, I told everybody Garrett Wilson. They didn't listen. They said, "Oh, it's the Jets." Well, at the end of the day, this guy wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. I love me some Garrett Wilson. I love me some Jordan Addison. Phil, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, wide receivers in the NFL are getting smaller. And they're quick. They can't be touched. So I mean, the quick twitch guys are the way to go now. Anyway, Jordan Addison, like Sheila said, 2021 Biletnikoff Award winner, number 1 wide receiver. I can't believe he actually just didn't come out in the draft. Now he's coming out with Jackson Smith and Jalen Hyatt. I mean, he's coming out with a decent class again. But I mean, my thing about Jordan Addison, even though his size is 6 foot, he tracks the ball. Like, he's got good jump ball skills. Like, he can get up there. I think he's going to be quarterback proof. Like, I love Mike Evans. I don't think no matter where he lands, he is going to be a top. He's going to be a wide receiver 2 coming right into the league. Absolutely, easily.
All right, my question for you, Sheila, is: do you think? Okay, who does Jordan Addison remind you most of?
Hey, I said it earlier, Devontae Smith, man. Like, he literally is the exact profile of Devontae Smith. And I mean, you look at it even from an award winner standpoint. Like, you saw Devontae Smith once he actually had it was him and Jalen Waddle. You saw Ruggs and you saw Jerry Jeudy go to the league. You now see Devontae Smith. But for me, Devontae Smith was the best receiver with those 2 guys on the field. So it's just crazy to see when you're watching these guys. This is the modern profile. This is the guy that you want to actually have to build your team around, especially with all the rule changes and everything. Jordan Addison is definitely my wide receiver 2 coming out in this class, and I think he's going to be phenomenal.
I mean, this guy, the potential is so crazy, and it is crazy that you can be getting this guy in your dynasty draft at the 107, 108, and that's just today. That's just talking about today. If this guy, let's say something crazy happens to T. Higgins to where they can't pay T. Higgins, they trade a T. Higgins, and they draft this guy. We've seen crazy draft day trades, and that's why I bring up every single scenario. T. Higgins is not a lock. He should be a lock, but let's just say for some odd reason, they just want to trade a T. Higgins, right? You trade a T. Higgins, and then immediately with that pick, you draft a Jordan Addison. Imagine Jordan Addison playing in Cincinnati. You can make a case that Jordan Addison goes higher than JSN. I'm just saying, sometimes situations change everything. Just like if Jahmyr Gibbs was to go to Kansas City, if Jordan Addison goes to the Bengals, it changes everything for me. You're now talking about Addison going 102, Addison going 103. The possibilities are infinite when you have a young player like this that has potential to be great, playing with a great quarterback. It just makes everything, it just makes life easy. Okay, Phil, talk to me. Where do you feel that Jordan Addison can go and have the best success? Or I know he's quarterback proof. I get it. He's super talented. But where would you want to see Jordan Addison?
I actually compare Jordan Addison more to like a faster Keenan Allen. Like he's a technician. He's an elite route runner. I'm going to put him with his college quarterback, Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, on the other side of George, with right in the middle between Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison together. I wasn't the biggest Pickett fan, but those 2, they lit it up in Pittsburgh. So I'm putting them in Pittsburgh.
Look, I will cry tears of joy, and I know Sheila will as well. He and I both, I think combined, we own all of the Kenny Pickett shares. If there's a Kenny Pickett share and we are in the same league, he either owns them or I own them. And we are also big George Pickens fans as well. And to add this guy to that group, amazing. And then guess what? The next year you can trade away a Deontay Johnson. Reconstruction, trade, it doesn't even matter. At this point, Deontay Johnson becomes the best 3rd wide receiver in the league. I'm sorry. He just takes that title just because these guys are going to be so open. And then when you add in a Pat Freiermuth, oh man, and that running back that Sheila doesn't like. I'm not going to say said name, but it just makes this offense a whole lot better. And I'm so glad that we're doing this show and getting ideas, because I have never in my wildest dreams even thought that, hey, Pittsburgh could go wide receiver. But guess what? This will be the first time in a long time that Pittsburgh go wide receiver in the first round. There is no way this guy makes it out the first round. He is that talented. And if Pittsburgh has to trade up to come get this guy,
and you don't have all the picket shares.
Yeah, you're right.
You two don't have all the picket shares. I got even coming in winter. In winter's coming.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll talk
when
about
you're
that
bad, when you're that bad, you get to draft early. So yeah, you're right. We're not bad in those leagues. So congratulations.
I did pick up a bad team in that one. Hey, I'm coming up though. My team's getting better.
It is. I mean, hey, I can't fault you, man. You definitely, you're definitely making waves and coming up. But man, this has been an amazing show. I want to turn it over to Sheila and Phil so you guys can put in your final words, plug in anything you want to plug. This is your opportunity to do it. Since Phil is our guest, I'm going to go to Phil first. You have the floor.
Well, I help run the Facebook page Commander Center. Come on over, all the Commanders fans. It's gonna be the Sam Howell year. Let's hope for that. That's my man. Everybody knows I bleed or he'll blue. But this was a good show. I enjoyed the Dynasty chat. I love talking to you two. And we can talk fantasy football 24/7. Especially Dynasty. Me and Sheila for sure. We're the Dynasty guys.
Yes, sir.
I'm the Dynasty guys. Sheila, what about you,
man? So Phil, love having you on the show, man. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Check me out on Twitter, 3D Sheila. A lot of more draft profiles and everything coming through. I'm done.
Good stuff, man. And hey, man, I had a great show, great discussion, great episode tonight, man. Just diving into these rookies. And if you guys noticed, I didn't say much about these rookies because guess what? I'm still a student of the game. I let the professionals talk about the rookies. And I'm just here asking educated questions that can help the rest of us who don't know much about the rookies learn about the rookies. These are the Dynasty guys, and I'm trying to become a Dynasty guy. Who knew that I would be doing a Dynasty podcast? I just love Dynasty football so much that I'm switching a lot of my redraft and keepers. And I'm just playing more Dynasty and playing less of everything else. It's just more autopilot for me. Is either I'm competing or I'm rebuilding. You kind of get to choose how you want to build your teams. So I love Dynasty. You guys can find me at Manny Chakuba on Twitter. And you guys can also find me on the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. I do fantasy, I do NBA, I do NFL, Lakers, Commanders. You name it, I got it. I also have a Commanders pod. Talking Commanders with Manny. Check that out. So man, it's a great show. Thank you so much, Phil, for coming on the show. And once again, guys, you guys are listening to Dynasty Overload, a fantasy podcast. I am your host, Manny, my co-host, Sheila, and my co-host, Razonators. Together, we are Dynasty Overload. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you guys on that next episode. Peace.